Hello and welcome to my life in Malvern. My name's Robin and I've had some videos out before, but I thought I'd have a go at adding to that. There's been a delay, a short delay in the words of Douglas Adams, but I'm back and I'm on the west side of Malvern, up in the hills. I've just been to the Sugarloaf Cafe and I can show you around that a little bit anyway. Why have I started my videos again? Well, I wanted to just really record a bit more about my life, and I had said that I was going to be covering a variety of different topics, and one of those topics was health, which is very important to me, and anyone who's watched the previous videos will know exactly why that is, but I'm not going to go through that now. One of the big bugbears I have is when people say to me things like, "Oh, you're so lucky, your health is good." I tend to think of the reply that Arnold Palmer, a famous golfer, gave to that when he was accused of being lucky about his putting. And he always said, well, do you know, the more I practice, the luckier I get. In other words, he was saying it isn't down to chance, it isn't down to luck. It's down to something else. In his case, it was practice. In my case, it's not practicing being healthy. Well, I suppose it is in a way. But I do try and look after my health, and that's the sort of thing I want to talk to you about. But at the moment, I'm going to walk on a bit further, so I'll see you in a minute. The thing about Malvern is it has a lot of hills. I suppose it's in the clue, known as the Malvern Hills. So walking usually involves going uphill. Of course, when you've done the uphill, you can always go back down again. So I've come up here now to have a look across the valley. And it's really very nice. It's hard work getting up here. I've been talking to a few friends. I've often pointed out there are ways of not getting ill. And largely I get the reaction, smiling, okay, and then carry on as before. Well, fair enough. But I've got this attitude. I don't like getting ill. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't sit well with me. So I prefer to do things to make sure I don't get ill. So I look after my health. And how do I do that? Well, it's a sad fact. As we get older, then we start using up all the micronutrients and all the extra things that we were given when we were born by our mothers. Actually, that starts happening, I think, from the age of about 35, but don't quote me on that one. As we get older, our bodies are less able to absorb the nutrients we want from the food. So in a sense, what we could get by with in our 20s and 30s, we can't carry on doing that now. As I am adding to the years, quite clearly, it's becoming obvious to me that many of my friends are deteriorating. And one of the things I get quite often is about memory. Now, I've been unwell and my memory has been affected, but it is improving. It's not as fast as I would like, that's true, but it is improving. And that isn't just by chance. I take some supplements that help. I also do things like meditation and as much exercise as I can manage, which probably isn't as much as I ought to be doing, to be perfectly fair. But anything is better than nothing. So what I'm doing is trying to keep my memory, keep my concentration, and keep my health. It's the beginning of June, so it really is looking Nice and green up on the hills. Got lots of bracken here, but other trees as well, and some nice other plants. Well, if you're waiting for me to give you the secret, and you've not seen my previous videos, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait for the next one. So, for now, from Malvern, goodbye, and hopefully see you soon.